Greetings, young cowboys and cowgirls. Mr. Caldestall speaking to you from the lower level of the Ponderosa, also known as my basement. Today's theme was the Bonanza theme, the hit cowboy show from the 1960s. But today's theme is appreciation. And I want to begin by telling you that I appreciate that these are not my eyebrows. And on that note, let's get started. Quick story about Mrs. K and my daughter Tasman and I cleaning out your lockers on Tuesday. It was really interesting. I found a pumpkin. I'm not sure why, but I found a pumpkin. And I found a locker that had so many winter clothes in it, there wasn't a single space for a book. I thought that was interesting. I found lots of books. So I wasn't sure to be excited about that or to say, wait a minute, shouldn't those books be in these kids' hands? Oh, I found a lifetime supply of bubblegum. And you're going to get all this stuff back. As you can see, they're put in bags. And then on Friday, or is it Thursday? I can't remember. Your parents got an email. They're to come to the school and you give them your name and they go to your locker and everybody's stuff is sitting in front of a bag in front of your locker. Now, if you left nothing, then you don't need to worry about it. It was actually kind of fun. We did it for about 3.5 hours. That whole hallway, in fact, the entire school, every locker is cleaned out now. If you have some stuff, you got some books, pens, erasers, whatever you got, notebooks, a lot of notebooks, you need to go to the school and pick them up. So today's to-do, reading jot. And remember that your attendance is based on your ability to read and complete a jot. If you say I did not read, that means you did not attend. So you'd be marked absent. Today's expectations, which hopefully you're watching right now, and No Red Ink COVID-19 Journal 2. So I'm asking you to write a second piece that's going to be reviewed. Now I know some of you are doing videos, like Cicely's doing videos and Amelia's doing some videos. So today you need to do a written piece. It can't be more than 500 words. But we won't do the peer review until Wednesday. So all you need to do is do a solid piece. And I'm going to show you here in a second exactly what I want you to focus on today. And then you should go back and revise checkpoint 3. Because as of the recording of this, I'm recording this on Thursday. I'm going to spend my day going through and giving you feedback. Of course, if you didn't turn it in, my feedback is red. You need to get it done. Okay, today's must show, reading jot, Ed Puzzle, today's expectations, No Red Ink. Make sure you get your journal entry in. Otherwise, it'd be very hard to give you feedback if there's nothing there. And you need to revise checkpoint 3. Here's a link to your reading log. Again, if you don't do a reading jot, then I have to mark you absent. So here's the focus for your second journal entry in No Red Ink. On Friday, March 13th, Kettle Moraine Middle School was closed and your world changed. This is your first taste of being an adult, meaning you have been given large amounts of responsibility when it comes to your time, organizing yourself, and being responsible for keeping track of your work. How does that feel? Is it scary? Is it exciting? Looking back, how did your teachers, and I would add parents as well, prepare you for this moment? What were you taught? Not necessarily learned, but what were you taught to help you succeed? How would you be different as a student if this pandemic had never happened? In other words, what lessons have you learned about yourself? That's what I want you to write about today. And this moment takes me back to one of my favorite books, The Watsons Go to Birmingham, 1963. In chapter 9, I think it's chapter 9, there's this great conversation between Kenny, who's the main character, he's a 4th grader, and his father. And they're sitting in a car, and they're just sitting in a driveway, and they have this conversation. And it reminded me of what you're going to write about today. Kenny says, I don't think I'll ever know what to do when I'm grown up. It seems like you and Mama know a lot of things that I can never learn. It seems real scary. I don't think I could ever be as good a parent as you guys. Kenny, his father says, Do you remember when we used to go on drives and I'd put you in my lap and let you steer the car? I smiled. Yeah, does that mean I get to do it on the way to Birmingham? Sure, but that's not what I meant. Do you remember how big and scary the car seemed to be the first time you were behind the wheel? Dad was right. Even though I knew he was watching everything real close, it was still scary to steer the brown bomber. Well, that's what being a grown up is like. At first, it's scary, but then before you realize, with a lot of practice, you have it under control. Hopefully, you'll have lots of time to practice being grown up before you actually have to do it. That was making sense to me. As far as being a good parent, don't worry. You'll learn from the mistakes your mother and I make, just like we learned from the mistakes our parents made. I don't have a single doubt that you and Byron and Joey will be much better parents than your mother and I ever were. The key part of that for me is when the father says, with a lot of practice, you have it under control. Hopefully, you'll have lots of time to practice being grown up before you actually have to do it. And I feel like that's what you're doing right now. You're having lots of practice being an adult. You're getting a taste of it in the 6th grade, which is really a gift. Now, the question is, are you going to learn from this? Or is it just going to be one of those things where I did it and I checked it off? And so what I want you to do today is reflect on the time that you've had, the responsibility that you've had, and what you've learned about yourself. So I want to give you some feedback. It's on what some of you have written, both in Edpuzzle and in your narratives. And you don't get to see most of these. So I wanted to share some of them because I think they're pretty cool. So here was the question that I asked you to answer. What part of your life are you working on right now to revise? Which kind of goes back to what you're writing about today. I'm not talking about a vaccine for COVID-19 because you can't revise or control that, but what habits in your life are you currently working on to revise or improve? And I love this one, to be happy. That's great. We should always be working on that. To help my parents around the house more, because I haven't been doing that a lot lately, and they are working very hard right now to help my family. I think that's very wise. My ability to be patient with things. Awesome. I'm trying to revise on how I treat my family and waking up when my alarm goes off in the morning. I like that. Learning how we can help during the pandemic. We should all have that mindset. I love that. So here's another one. How do you feel about revising your work? I know how I feel about you not reading your work before you ask me to read it. But how do you feel about revising your work? How does it feel when you take a sentence and make it dramatically better? So here's one response. I like it more. I like my story more and I feel more confident in my writing. That's powerful. I really like being able to change my writing to sound better because when I find the perfect sentence, then it makes me excited to finish the rest of my piece to sound just as good. I love that. It makes me feel like I accomplished something. And I would totally agree with that. That's a pretty good feeling. So here's what one of your classmates wrote. I just thought this was really honest and wise. COVID-19 is the weirdest thing. COVID-19 has changed my music taste from popular music to feel-good music. I don't know why I like feel-good music now. Maybe it's because it is a sad time and the only thing I can turn to is music to cheer me up. Here's another post. When I wake up and turn on the TV, it is always set to the news, and it is nothing but COVID-19 reports. In a way, it is scary how many people are dying, but as long as we keep up social distancing and other things, we should be fine. I don't personally like social distancing because there's no hanging out with friends or going anywhere to have a good time. Social distancing has made us find other ways to entertain ourselves, like reading a book, playing a board game, going outside more. These are the things we can do. During quarantine, I have realized how it is hard to be so independent with schoolwork, and it really shows the benefits that school has. That's music to my ears. So, You need to add your next COVID-19 journal entry in No Red Ink, and you will give feedback next week on Wednesday. Don't forget to revise checkpoint 1, 2, and now 3. Our final product is going to be starting very soon. Hope all is well. Let's go out with a life lesson from our friends at Bonanza.
All right, I'll take a few days off and help you myself.
Hey, yeah, me too. The range can wait, can it, Paul?
I don't need any help. Now, look, this is my idea, it's my job, and I want to do it by myself. Is that agreed, Pa?
Well, see you around.
Good luck.
Joe? Come here.
I want you to do something for me.
Well, what's that?
Break these.
Break these? All right. Wait a minute. You wouldn't think they'd... Well, I can't do it, Bob.
That's right. Well, they're together like this. You can't break them. But singly, they can be broken. By himself, each one of us can be broken. Never let pride stand in your way, son. We're all here if you need us.
I'll remember that, Pa. I better get started on this idea. Those trees aren't going to cut themselves.